Hi there, my name is Scott McDonald, and today I'm going to be teaching you how to do a flare on Trampwall. Don't let the name scare you off. Even though these somewhat resemble a gymnastics or b-boy flare, they don't really feel that similar and they are much easier to learn and to do. There aren't any direct prerequisites besides being able to run the Trampwall and being able to momentarily take your weight with your hands. Let's get started. Before we begin the flare odyssey, you gotta figure out which direction you want to flare. Base this off which way you're more comfortable turning or twisting. You may end up having to switch your running stance to make this work, but it's much easier to change that than to change the direction you trick. If you're going to flare to the left, then you're going to want to put your right foot on top for your run, and vice versa. It doesn't matter if you step with your bottom foot then the top foot, or just the top foot, but what you don't want to do if you're doing a flare to the left is to only step with your left foot. This tends to make you feel a little bit tangled up in your own body as you enter the trick, and it's super awkward. Our first drill is just to run pretty low, hips roughly at the top of the wall, and then just lean forward and catch in a front support. When this feels easy, do the same thing, but allow yourself to planche and lean a little further forward with your torso, and then kick up what will eventually be the first leg of your flare. If you're going to the left, this means your left leg. Make sure you're placing your feet quite low on the face of the wall so that you can boost yourself upwards as you push off of them. When this feels easy, do the exact same thing, but instead of just lifting the first leg, make it a switch kick. Next, you're going to do the same approach with your feet pushing off the face, but you're only going to put your first hand down. In the case of a left flare, that means your right hand, and you're going to turn a quarter as you go up. You don't need to swing your lower body super high on this. It's more about getting that quarter turn and just getting used to swinging your legs to lift your hips and make yourself feel weightless. Next, we're going to learn the timing and placement of your hands and feet. You're going to do that same exact drill with the quarter turn, but this time, instead of swinging your legs up, you're just going to sit on top of the wall. Once you're sitting, place your second hand down next to your hip, and then do another quarter turn to drop back in. Please note that you don't want to place both hands like a front support and then turn into this. It should only be one hand with a quarter turn, both hands as you're facing outwards, and then the second hand only to drop back in. It's much more effort to go up like this, and then reach like that, and then reach again, and then fall in. Don't do that. As this motion begins to make sense, try to smooth it out and speed it up until it's just one fluid movement, and then start doing it without sitting down and just keeping your weight in your hands the whole time. Really focus on the rhythm here. It should feel like you push off with your foot, go to your hand, second foot as you go back in. For these drills and for your flare, the grip is pretty much a matter of personal preference. I hook my first thumb on the face of the wall and put my fingers on top, and the second hand just kind of goes somewhere between turned out and a reverse grip, so do whatever grip feels most natural and safe to you. Once this drill on the top starts to make sense and you can do it smoothly and quickly, try doing it on the face of the wall. Even though this doesn't feel as similar to the flare as the top drill, this forces you to do it quicker because gravity is going to pull you down and you don't have the option of just sitting down. Alright, back to the top of the wall, do the same drill as before, but now, as your first hand goes down, you want to start initiating this little baby leg kick with the first leg, and then as your second hand goes down, the second leg should start coming up too. At first, don't worry about getting your legs or your hips high or aesthetically pleasing. This is entirely about finding the rhythm and the timing. The leg swings are mostly a straight up and down motion on Trampwall. There is a little bit of circular motion, especially in the second leg, so it can carry you back into the drop in, but you're not doing this whole circular rotation thing that you would see on pommel horse or floor. And voila, you have a flare. Now that you can do a flare, try and do a few consecutive flares. Typically, the second, third, and so on and so forth will fall into this really nice rhythm and cadence, so even if the first one feels weird, try to push through and go for another one. There are a few small details that can really make or break your flare, so let's take a look at some of these common mistakes. If you feel like you can't get your hips up, or your chest feels kind of wonky, or your whole flare just feels weird, you might be looking down. Don't look down. Once your first hand goes down, look out. You don't want to look down at the trampoline beneath yourself, because if you do, it's going to make your chest and hips stay very low and make it very difficult to do the flare properly. Flares are not a very high risk trick, but if you place your hands too far over the wall, hesitate midway through, or just collapse, then you run the risk of dropping your back onto the corner of the wall. If you're concerned about this, fold a panel mat over the corner of the wall, but just be wary of your wrists because taking your weight on a squishy surface can lead to issues. Once you have a functional flare and it's no longer scary, start trying to clean up the details. This trick is mostly about the lower body, so really try and sell the extension of your legs and your feet. Either point your feet or flex them, make sure your legs are straight, especially the second one, and really try and get as much extension as possible. A fun variation you can try is instead of doing the 1-2 motion with your legs, try to bring both up simultaneously into a pike, and you wind up in this cool V-sit flare. This is infinitely easier than doing a real V-sit on the floor because you skip the whole difficult lifting your body part. The trampoline does all the work for you, and you only have to touch it momentarily. As you get really comfortable, you could also try doing elbow flares on top. Alright, I think that'll do for my Trampwall flare tutorial. I think this equipped you with all the information you need to learn, but if you have any questions or requests, let me know in the comments. Please like, share, subscribe, check out my Instagram @ScottAMcDonald, and thank you for watching. Happy training, bye!